Museums and galleries all over the world are shuttered while people hunker down in a collective effort to stop the spread of COVID 19. Many of these exhibitions are being offered as virtual exhibitions, and throngs of sequestered people are seeking experiences online, viewing art, listening to music, visiting zoos and national parks, gathering in Zoom meetings to reconnect or stay connected. This brought to my mind that 2 years ago, in my last semester of grad school, I curated an imaginary art exhibition, one that existed only in my imagination and in the presentation I made about it. It was an assignment from the great Chris Hawking and Ted Soppe to create an exhibition which included my own work and the work of several other artists. My exhibition was called Make the Bed. So now that many of us are spending so much extra time in bed as we are confined to our homes, I invite you to spend the next 10 or so minutes with me as I guide you through the exhibit. So, welcome to Make the Bed. Most of us were born in a bed. Many of us will die in a bed. We spend a third of each day, if we're lucky, sleeping in a bed. We dream in bed, encounter our subconscious in bed, make love in bed, read, watch TV, and eat in bed, and lie awake in the middle of the night in bed worrying about all the problems of the world. We spend days on end in bed when we're sick or depressed. We spend days on end in bed when we fall in love. The bed is intimate and private, and the bed is shared with lovers, spouses, our children, and our pets. We don't expect to encounter a bed in a gallery, and yet these artists have brought beds and bedrooms into this public space, turning the viewer into a voyeur. The bed, a realist object, takes on a host of symbolic meanings, depending on both the artist's intent and the viewer's own experience. But whether we are getting a view of the bed's occupant's sex life, their emotional life, their mental state, their marriage, or their subconscious, we are always seeing something which is usually hidden in the private space of a home, behind closed doors. Since the beds are unoccupied, we are invited to imagine ourselves in them. Are we drawn to them or repulsed? Are they familiar, inviting, or discomforting? Make the Bed brings together 6 contemporary artists, 3 American, 2 Turkish, and 1 British, whose sculptural work intersects both in form and an autobiographical or biographical narrative. My imagined home for this exhibition is a cavernous warehouse space, which has been transformed with floating walls so that the viewers can move through the exhibit as a sequence of rooms that lead into each other. The first room that we encounter contains Justin Barker's Pretty Pink Houses. Hell is Other People. Justin Barker's miniature tableau of little pink houses, which are laser cut and screen printed, invites you to peer into the private lives of suburban neighbors in their identical, closely built yet existentially isolated tract homes. Each home contains a different room of a house, like a single-room dollhouse. Viewing through the peephole, the otherwise plain white bed, surrounded by glittery wallpaper and its blue light, lets the viewer in on a secret, that there's more going on in this private space than would meet the eye. Little Pink Houses sets the tone for the Make the Bed exhibit, preparing you for your role as an intruder in private spaces. The second room contains Kanan's installation, There's So Much Evil Out There. Both Kanan and I have used the beds and the bedroom walls as surfaces for content, creating layers of symbolic meaning as sheets and blankets are layered on a bed. In Kanan's There's So Much Evil Out There and my installation, He Called Me Crazy, we both illustrate the occupant's mental state. Kanan's room prompts associations with a mental institution, and the artists completely cover the walls and bed coverings with scribbled anonymous love letters. The setting prompts associations with confinement and loneliness. The single bed might make the viewer wonder whether the different voices in the letters are different personalities of the same person, the bed's occupant. The next room contains my installation, He Called Me Crazy. This installation portrays the dysfunctional marital bedroom of my great-aunt Kathleen and Uncle John Drury, whose tumultuous relationship culminated with her shooting him and his lover just before Christmas 1949. Their provocative story caused me to think about the fragile construction of family lore and history and the tension between memory and truth. He Called Me Crazy is a manifestation of my process of research as art and art as research. The bed, along with the floor, chair, and wallpaper, illustrates my research, depicting my aunt and uncle's faces with their lovers on the pillows, and text from her testimony at her attempted murder trial, "He called me crazy," on the covers. The next room contains the notorious My Bed by Tracy Emin. Tracy Emin brought the bed from her Waterloo flat where she had spent 4 days in a relationship-induced depression with all its surrounding detritus, underwear, condoms, cigarette butts, food wrappers, and blood into the gallery. The disheveled tableau may cause the viewer to infer sleep or sleeplessness, birth or death, sex or violence. Its vulnerable rawness is an evocative, exhibitionist self-portrait of the artist at a turbulent and emotional low point. But it's also a still life with references to the classically draped fabric that you might find in an old master painting. The next room contains Layla Gadiz's Untitled Bed installation. Layla Gadiz brought the bed from her studio, pictured in this slide, into the gallery. And in its minimalist white simplicity, it stands in stark contrast to Emin's chaotic bedroom scene. Covered in raw linen canvas, like a painter's canvas lying in wait, it is pure symbol of the boundary between intimate space and social space, a bed that inspires thoughts of birth and death more than sex and intimacy, and it requires more from your imagination. Janine Antoni's performative work, Slumber, which will continue throughout the duration of the exhibit, is the final bedroom that you will enter. After empty bed, you might be surprised to find that Antoni is sitting at a loom of her own design, weaving a blanket that goes from her loom to covering the bed. Antoni's going to live in the gallery during the Make the Bed exhibit, weaving during the day and sleeping in the bed at night, hooked up to an EEG machine that records her rapid eye movement while she sleeps. She then weaves the pattern from the EEG printout into the blanket. Antoni welcomes viewers to talk to her and ask her questions while she weaves. After observing that viewers behave very differently in the different cities where she's performed it, New York, London, Zurich, Madrid, which she believes reflects their comfort or discomfort intruding into a private space, she's interested in seeing what your reaction is. While Antoni's piece is personal and intimate, it is not particularly autobiographical. We cannot know on the face of it, without highly specialized knowledge, more about Antoni by reading her REM graph woven into the blanket. We may, on the other hand, know more about her by talking to her while she weaves, but the choice to speak with her is up to you. As you leave the slumber room, you may notice a small dark room off to the side just before the exit. If you enter, you will find a bench facing a wall of surveillance televisions, a high-tech analog for the peephole that you peered through at the beginning of the exhibit. You can sit and watch each room and gallery visitors as they interact with the installations, while simultaneously realizing that you too were being watched. So I hope you have enjoyed visiting my imaginary art exhibition, Make the Bed. If you did, please share and invite your friends to visit. The exhibition will be open for the duration of the current COVID-19 inspired social distancing era. Thank you.